Hey everyone, welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate RingsideNews.com. A very busy night here on NoDQ.com, not only Monday Night Raw, but also a developing news story regarding Ryback being sent home by WWE. I will be discussing that. Also got your topics regarding Payback. So let's get started today with the first one, which comes from KZX Productions. So is Ryback done with WWE? Rumors going around that he's been pulled indefinitely. That is the report going around, and this very well could be the end for Ryback in WWE. His contract reportedly expires in the summer, and there's some speculation that he asked to be sent home himself, and it was his call. Who knows what's really going on between WWE and Ryback? We know this much. We know Ryback was frustrated with his position at WrestleMania 32 being in the kickoff match. He even said this publicly, that he was upset about that and he wants to be in a higher position. And then they had the match at Payback, the kickoff match once again, and clearly Ryback did not give a damn. He came out there, he mocked CM Punk with the entrance. He had this thing written on his weightlifting belt that said the pre-showstopper. He was just going out there and not giving a damn. And if his heart's not in it, then there's really no point in going out there and performing. And that very well could be the case here, where Ryback is just mentally burned out on WWE now and frustrated that he hasn't been able to succeed at the level that he was at a few years ago. Maybe him and WWE will work things out. Maybe he'll sign a new contract. Maybe he'll get a renewed push. Who knows? But, I mean, a lot of people like Ryback. A lot of people don't like him. There's some mixed feelings about him. He's a very polarizing figure in WWE. But if I was him, I mean, I would be frustrated having to lose back-to-back kickoff matches against Kalisto. And, I don't care what anybody says. I know WrestleMania is the show of shows, but having to go out there when there's only 10,000 people in the stadium and basically work a dark match, a glorified dark match, it definitely will affect your ego. And I can see Ryback just being completely burned out with how things are going in WWE. And unless things change, this could be the end of him in the company. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him if he works out whatever issues he's having with the company. Alright, this one comes from Cody the Dragon Dude. Do you think with this concussion we could consider Enzo and Cass's run pretty much over? They will probably bring in a new NXT team. Not necessarily. I think it depends on how long Enzo is out of action. Now, according to reports, it was a pretty serious concussion, a severe concussion. He could be out for a while. And if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, then I think there's a greater chance of the team being split up. But I think it's way too soon to end the team. If Enzo is ready to come back in a few weeks or even a month, I do not see the point in breaking up the group. They are really hot right now, and I think they have some mileage as a team in WWE. And I think fans will be even more into Enzo now because of this injury, and I think that they will be more sympathetic towards him, and that will just help the team. Whenever he does come back, the team is going to be more over than ever, in my opinion. Alright, this one comes from Ben Jarman. Do you think that we will see Shane McMahon in the ring in the near future, possibly at SummerSlam? Hashtag rest in peace beard, or IP beard. I think there's always a possibility we could see Shane McMahon in another match if there's the right storyline that comes along and there's a good reason for him to have another match. Although, this is WWE we're talking about, so who knows? Maybe he'll just be thrown together into a random match just for the hell of it. I guess anything's possible, but I think part of the appeal to him coming back was being able to perform in front of his kids. I think that at his age, maybe it's best to not take too many risks more than you need to. It was one thing to do one more match do the big Hell in the Cell bump at WrestleMania with your kids and family watching. It's another thing to keep pushing your luck and keep doing matches when it's a different era and it's a new era for new talent to shine. I just don't see the need for Shane to work another match. It could very well happen, and maybe if the right storyline comes along, it'll actually make sense. But I think it's better to not have him get back in the ring. Alright, this one comes from Mark. Hey Aaron, now that Shane and Stephanie will run Raw, do you think that this will be similar to when Bischoff and Stone Cold ran Raw as co-GMs? I'm guessing we are going to see some sort of friction between Shane and Stephanie. We really did not see anything significant on this week's edition of Raw, but I'm thinking that as the months progress, we could very well see the two of them start to have their differences. And will this lead to another brand extension? Will this lead to an invasion? Or will it just eventually fizzle out and Shane will be ousted again and it'll be Stephanie and Triple H? Anything's possible. It's really hard to say right now, but one would think logically that this will build and they will continue to have increased tensions as the weeks turn into months and as we get into the summer in WWE. Alright, this one comes from Dan Covey. Hey Aaron, how far do you think Baron Corbin will go after his debut in WWE? Personally, I love his character. After Payback and after just being a body in the Battle Royal, I am going to say that he will be a mid-carder at best. I'm not expecting him to be a major star in WWE. I think that the fact that he's tall has given him a little bit of an edge. I'm sure that Vince likes the guy and likes the character because of his size. But he already lost to Dolph Ziggler, and I know some people are defending it, saying that the rookie doesn't have to win every match, but my counter to that is that first impressions are everything. He was losing in NXT, and to be fair, that doesn't really count. What happens on the main roster is what truly counts. He came in, and in his first pay-per-view match, I guess the Andre Battle Royal was technically his first, but his first singles match on pay-per-view on the main roster, he lost. I think that was a mistake. I could be wrong. Maybe he'll be a huge star, and I'm rooting for the guy, but my gut feeling is that he is not going to be a major star, and in 6 months' time, he's going to be lucky if he even gets television time. He'll join a faction, or he'll do these wacky backstage skits with R-Truth, something like that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping he does better than that, but not getting my hopes up at this point based on what I've seen so far. Alright, this one comes from Ben Jarman. What feuds do you think are underrated? I think Orton versus Christian in 2001 or 2011 was. Hashtag RIP Beard. People are still talking about the beard. I mean, it's crazy. But I would definitely agree with you on that. I think that Orton versus Christian was one of the all-time best feuds of the past 5 or 6 years. I've been watching some of those matches on the WWE Network since I'm doing the pay-per-view review videos, and their matches were all really good. And I was there for SummerSlam. That match was great. Orton and Christian just had a lot of chemistry together. They were pretty much incapable of having a bad match against each other. Other feuds, I mean, I would like to say Savage versus Jake Roberts from the end of 1991 because of the fact that WWE has largely ignored Randy Savage from history, and Jake Roberts had all of his substance abuse issues. That feud has never really been showcased on WWE television. It's more or less been forgotten about by the company, but in my opinion, that was one of the most compelling feuds of that era, that golden era of WWE. Jake Roberts was just a tremendous heel, and that whole angle with the snake and Savage getting bit, and then Jake the Snake slapping Elizabeth. I mean, that was a very edgy feud for the time. I mean, that was definitely pushing the envelope far beyond things that WWE was doing at the time. Alright, this one comes from Hamp Connell. How come wrestlers don't get interviewed out in front of the audience anymore? Backstage interviews have gotten kind of old. That is a good question. I mean, it is part of a different era, and the era of a guy like Gene Okerlund interviewing somebody, that is very 80s and very 90s, and as the wrestling business changed and evolved into the Attitude Era, we started to see that style get phased out. Maybe just because it's dated and that's why we haven't seen it, but I would like to see it brought back. I would like to see more interview segments where you have somebody like Michael Cole in the ring interviewing someone. We rarely see it these days, and it would be a nice touch to just do something different instead of the typical pattern of a guy coming out, cutting a promo, gets interrupted, or the typical backstage interview. I would like to see them go back to that. Alright, this one comes from Yusuf. What are your thoughts on superstars constantly kicking out of big moves? I definitely feel that it has gotten overkill. It's nice when you have a match with a lot of near falls, but when every match has the same near falls and guys are kicking out of finishers, the finishers lose value. They no longer mean anything, and the near falls start getting predictable. Now, with that being said, a lot of fans in the arenas still react to the near falls. I remember last year, I was getting sick of the John Cena matches because it was basically the same thing every match, with Cena kicking out and kicking out and kicking out over and over at 2. And to me, it got very bland and repetitive, but people were still reacting to it. So there's only so much criticism you can give to it when the fans are reacting. If the fans are buying into the near falls, why stop doing them? But I think if WWE keeps overdoing it, eventually more and more fans are going to catch on and realize what's going on, and they're going to know when the near falls are coming and not react to them. So if I was WWE, I would just maybe consider not doing as many near falls in the future and trying to protect the finishers more. Alright, this one comes from Marcus S. If you were Sasha Banks, would you be unhappy with your standing in the WWE? Maybe to a degree. I mean, she was not on Raw this week, and that's not a great sign, but apparently the plan is still for her to eventually win the women's title from Charlotte. I've been vocal about this. I feel WWE should have pulled the trigger on Sasha at WrestleMania. And if she's frustrated about that, I do not blame her. But at the same time, she's still on the main roster. She's still very popular with the fans. She's making money in WWE. She's living the dream. And I think it would be too soon to be frustrated at like a Ryback level. I think in her case, it's good to just be patient and wait for the right moment. The right moment should have been WrestleMania, but I'm thinking she will get the title sooner than later, and there's no need to get frustrated and upset about the spot that you're in if I was her. Alright, this one comes from Andrew. Can you see Sasha winning the title soon to set up a match between her and Bayley at SummerSlam? I'm going to say it's unlikely. I think that Sasha will more than likely win the title around SummerSlam. I think Bayley should be on the main roster as soon as possible. I think that that would be a good place to debut her because the New York fans would react in a big way to Bayley, and that's almost a guarantee she'll get a huge reaction on pay-per-view. I just think they're going to drag out this Charlotte and Natalya feud for a little bit longer, and then they'll build up Sasha versus Charlotte for the women's title at SummerSlam. But I would be shocked if Bayley is not on the main roster by the end of the year. I think that that would be a mistake to hold off on her much longer. I definitely feel it's getting close to the time to put her on the main roster. Alright, this one comes from Jared J. Smith. Hey Aaron, what do you think of Cesaro's James Bond entrance? Also, do you see him being the first WWE superstar to play 007? I like the entrance. I like it because it's different and it works well with him. And the whole deal with him ripping off the suit every match, it stands out. And for Cesaro, it gives him a little bit of character. So why not? Why not make him like a double agent type character with the way he dresses and even the way he acts? It does give him a bit of a more multi-dimensional aspect to his character. I'm all for that. Whatever it takes to give him a little bit more personality. Whatever it takes to please Vince. If it makes Vince want to push Cesaro more, then what the hell? Why not do this stuff with him? Alright, this one comes from Thomas Vargas. Did you had least expectations for Seth Rollins to become a big superstar when he was in the Shield? Of the three guys at the time when the Shield was red hot, I figured Seth Rollins would be the least successful, but I still thought he would do well. I thought all three guys were going to be major stars. I expected Reigns to become a major star because of his look, and I expected Dean to go far because of his promo skills. With Rollins, I knew his athleticism would get him far in WWE, but Rollins, when he turned heel, he really ran with the ball. He got really strong on the mic. You know, after a while, his promos got repetitive, but that is due to the writers. I mean, the thing about Rollins is his delivery is really strong. He always did a good job of delivering his lines that were given to him. And because of that, he became reliable as a talker in WWE, a guy who can go out there and deliver the promos well. And that, I think, really helped him more than anything else. More than being one of the best athletes in the world, I think it was the fact that he could do those heel promos well. That is what really put him over the top as one of the biggest stars in WWE. Alright, this one comes from Troy. Did CM Punk go after, or did TNA go after CM Punk when he left WWE? And if he had gone there for whatever reason, would have he turned them around? No, he would not have turned them around. I've said this before. Even if Steve Austin or The Rock went to TNA, I think TNA would have somehow managed to screw those guys up. But with CM Punk, I mean, it's pretty clear that it was never about the money for him. And it's not like TNA had the money to pay the guy. I mean, this was early 2014. TNA was already having financial problems. Even if they threw $1 million at CM Punk, I do not think he would have jumped to TNA. I think that he was mentally finished with not just WWE, but the entire wrestling business. I mean, if he wanted to work for somebody, he would have gone back to Ring of Honor or worked with Colt Cabana on the Indies. He would have done something like that. The fact that he never got in the ring again, I mean, that tells you all you need to know, that the guy was just mentally done with wrestling completely. And whatever money TNA offered him, it wouldn't have mattered to him. He just did not have the passion for it anymore. And going back to earlier with Ryback, if you don't have the passion for it, then why keep doing it? And sometimes you do have the passion, but the passion gets burned out because of the relationship with the company you're working for. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. I'll have more of your questions answered coming up later this week. Stay tuned to youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Subscribe. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Ryback, Enzo's recovery from his concussion, and various other topics. NoDQ.com. Check it out, and I'll see you guys next time.